the world lessons. At Kwararafa TV, Communities Act, the world lessons. At Kwararafa TV, we bridge the gap between government and the people, tracking development, promoting dialogue, and empowering citizens. For reliable news, meaningful conversations, and impactful journalism, follow us on YouTube and Facebook or tune in via frequency 12589 on all free-to-air decoders for more. Kwararafa TV, connecting voices, inspiring change. For reliable news, meaningful conversations, and impactful journalism, follow us on YouTube and Facebook or tune in via frequency 12589 on all free-to-air decoders for more. Kwararafa TV, connecting voices, inspiring change. When leaders speak and communities act, the world lessons. At Kwararafa TV, Communities Act, the world lessons. At Kwararafa TV, we bridge the gap between government and the people, tracking development, promoting dialogue.
Taraba State government has announced the immediate suspensions of all mining activities across the state over security concerns. Senator Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari denies financing protests against the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Plus, court sentences mother and sister of a bandit to 40 years imprisonment each for aiding his terrorist operations. Hello and welcome to Kwararafa TV News at 7 p.m. I am Sophia John with the news presentation. Many thanks for joining us. Authorities have warned that anyone found violating mining activities will face appropriate sanctions. The Taraba State government has announced the immediate suspension of all mining activities across the state over security concerns. In a statement signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Chief Gibbon Timothy Katabs, the decision was approved by Governor Agbukefas as part of measures to protect lives and property and prevent security breaches linked to mining operations. The statement said a new task force will be established to oversee security and safety to the mining sector and will commence operations after the identified threats have been addressed. Local government councils and traditional rulers have been directed to ensure strict compliance with the suspension order, while residents are encouraged to report any violations to security agencies. The government also disclosed plans to meet with artisanal miners next week to brief them on security measures and responsible mining practices. It assured stakeholders that mining activities will only resume in a secure, peaceful, and properly regulated environment. Senator Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari has denied allegations linking him to the financing of protests against the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, describing the claims as false and politically motivated. The rebuttal was issued through his former chief of staff, Abdullahi Abdul Karim Safi, who said the allegation was deliberately fabricated to mislead the public and damage reputations. According to the statement, it would be inconsistent for Yari, a former governor of Zamfara State, to support President Bola Tinubu's emergence and later sponsor activities aimed at undermining the same administration. The senator representing Ekiti South Senatorial District, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, has refuted allegations that members of the ruling All Progressive Congress were involved in vote buying during the ongoing governorship election in the state. Adaramodu described the allegations as false and mischievous alleging that they were being propagated by members of opposition parties. The senator, who spoke with journalists after casting his vote at Unit 1, Ward 11, Ilawe Ekiti, said those making the allegations belong to unpopular political parties. He, however, commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, security agencies, and other stakeholders for ensuring that the electoral process was hitch-free. 10 governorship aspirants of the All Progressive Congress in Kwara State have raised concerns over what they described as a deepening crisis within the party. They allege that Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has lost moral and political authority to shape the future of the party ahead of the 2027 general elections. The aspirants, in a joint petition addressed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, warned that the ruling party in the state risks further fragmentation unless urgent intervention is made at the national level. In the petition, the aspirants expressed continued loyalty to President Tinubu and his administration, while urging him to intervene in what they described as a worsening political crisis capable of awakening the APC's electoral chances in Kwara State. A group under the aegis of President Tinubu's ambassadors, PTA, has commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for facilitating a bilateral agreement with Ethiopia to repatriate Nigerian prisoners. The group described the development as a reflection of the president's commitment to the dignity, welfare, and rights of Nigerians, irrespective of ethnicity, religion, or political affiliation. In a statement issued in Abuja by its national coordinator, Evangelist Nwa Jesus Onwara, PTA said the agreement underscored the federal government's resolve to protect the interests of Nigerians abroad and ensure they are all treated with fairness and compassion. According to the group, the prisoner transfer arrangement demonstrated the administration's commitment to safeguarding the welfare of citizens beyond Nigeria's borders. The Niger Delta Ex-Agitators Leadership Forum, NDLF, has formally declared its unwavering support for President Bola Tinubu's re-election bid ahead of the 2027 presidential election. In a statement, the forum, a prominent body of regional stakeholders dedicated to peace and development, said its decision followed a careful assessment of the president's governance style and ongoing national reforms. The forum's national coordinator, General Benson, noted that the group is fully convinced that President Tinubu deserves a second term to consolidate the economic and structural programs initiated by his administration. Moving on to business news. As the easing of tensions between the United States and Iran continues, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria has called on refiners, depot owners, and petroleum product importers to reduce their ex-depot and retail pump prices in line with the recent decline in international crude oil prices. The national president of Petran, Billy Gillis Harry, said the drop in global crude oil prices provided an opportunity for operators in the downstream petroleum sector to pass on the benefits of lower crude costs to consumers. In a statement signed by the National Public Relations Officer of Petran, Dr. Joseph Obele, Gillis Harris said market realities should be reflected in both ex-depot and retail pump prices. According to the association, recent developments in the global oil market indicate that crude oil prices are on downward trend, with Brent crude falling to about $77 to $78 per barrel following the ceasefire agreement between the United States and Iran, and expectations that oil exports through the Strait of Hormuz will gradually normalize. Petran noted that market analysts believe crude oil prices are currently under downward pressure although geopolitical risks remain. Economists have attributed Nigeria's strong revenue performance in the first 5 months of 2026 to the impact of recent tax reforms, improved revenue administration, and stronger earnings from the oil sector, following government collections of 15.8 trillion naira during the period. According to data from the Nigerian Revenue Service reported by Bloomberg, government revenue rose by 99% year-on-year from 10.6 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2025. The figure also exceeded the government's baseline growth target of 11.6%, providing early evidence of the gains from fiscal reforms aimed at widening the tax base, improving compliance, and strengthening revenue administration. Former chief economist at Zenith Bank, Marcel Okeke, said the performance reflects a combination of tax reforms, improved administration, and better output from the oil sector. We will now go on a short break, and when we return, more news will come your way. Please stay with us. News now continues. A federal high court in Abuja has sentenced Safia Salihu and Halima Abdullahi, the mother and sister of slain terrorist kingpin Ibrahim Batuju, to 40 years imprisonment each for aiding his terrorist operations. Justice Hawa Yilwa imposed the sentences after the two women admitted terrorism-related offenses filed against them by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. Batujo was killed by security forces on June 10, 2026, following a failed mass abduction and attack on students writing the West African Senior School Certificate examination in a forest near Iluke in Kaba, Bunu local government area of Kogi State. The two women were convicted on 3 of the 5 counts, including aiding and abetting Batujo's activities by passing information to him through telephone conversations, contrary to Section 26 of the Terrorism Act 2022. Safia, the mother, was additionally convicted for concealing information about her son's activities after visiting his forest camp and seeing him in possession of firearms. Halima, the sister, was convicted on a separate count of concealing information that could have aided his apprehension. Troops of Sector 2 Joint Task Force Northwest Operations, Fansanyama, have rescued 22 kidnapped victims and foiled separate abduction